Ellen, and welcome to my channel, Cozy Cottage Chapters, and welcome to what is going to be a new format, a new style, a new kind of little series on my channel. I have been contemplating kind of how I want to move forward with BookTube, knowing that I will probably be taking breaks here and there, definitely taking a break like once the baby comes, and just like wanting this to continue to be a fun creative outlet without any of the stress, really. And not that it was really that stressful, but just the idea right now in this phase of my life, making TBR videos at the beginning of the month and wrap-ups at the end of the month just seems like not really possible. Like, my brain fog is just so real right now, and the ability for me to remember a book that I read in the beginning of the month at the end of the month is very, very unlikely. And I want to be able to talk about the books that I read, and I want to, you know, share my thoughts about them and not make this something that I'm having to like keep track of and remember and worry about at the end of the month, like if I'm going to really have things to say. So anyways, all that to say, I am kind of changing formats, and instead of doing those kinds of videos independently, kind of as one-offs, I'm kind of combining everything into one. And I'm going to have these weekly reading update kind of videos where I'm also talking about the books I plan on reading and just general bookish thoughts. This will be just kind of a laid back, casual, kind of chatty video. And like I said, I'll talk about what I read during the past week and kind of my plans for the upcoming week and things I have on my radar, because oftentimes I don't find out about readathons and things until like maybe I've already made a TBR, and then I'm like, oh, I really want to participate in this, but like I didn't really include anything on my TBR, and then I'm like reworking my TBR, and it's just like a whole thing. So I feel like this will just be easier to think about things week by week, and when things pop up on my radar and I'm excited and interested about them, I can participate, and there's like no pressure. I will occasionally be doing other kind of special videos and things like that, but this is kind of the new format that I'm thinking of trying out, and hopefully it works well, and I'm excited about it. But without further ado, I want to talk about what I finished this week, which is kind of a surprisingly large amount of books, but that's because a lot of them I had started a long time ago, and then like everything kind of wrapped up this week, which was serendipitous. The first one I want to talk about is Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. I started this back in July, so it took me 2 full months to read this, which is crazy. Like, it's just the phase of life I'm in. But I really enjoyed it, and you know, it's interesting because I think Mansfield Park is definitely Jane Austen's most controversial work. People tend to love it or hate it. I definitely really enjoyed this. Definitely disagree with a lot of the criticism of Fanny Price. I really liked her. I thought that she did stand up for herself in times where it mattered, but she also was just very reflective, and she didn't rush into things. She you know, would observe people and wait to kind of make her comments on things, and she wasn't maybe as hasty as some of the other characters were in sharing her opinions. This is very much an in-depth character analysis. You really get to follow these characters. You meet everyone very early on in the story, so you get to progress, you know, 400 something pages with these characters and really get to kind of understand them in their daily lives and these very, and all of these interactions they have with each other. And I found that part really fascinating. There were lots of really interesting characters in here. I also thought that Sir Thomas was an interesting character. Just in the way that he behaved towards Fanny and then his own children was kind of interesting. And then at the end, I don't want to give too much away, but I thought that Jane Austen wrapped his character up really well and kind of gave him this opportunity for growth and reflection that I just really loved, because he could have been kind of stuck in being upset or angry about the choices of certain characters, but he was able to kind of see his role and kind of see his role and how he's contributed to things and reflect on that. And I thought that was really, really beautiful and very powerful, especially for like a father character during this time, to be that kind of reflective about his parenting and his role as a father. I thought was really, really beautiful. So I enjoyed Mansfield Park a lot. It is not my favorite Jane Austen, but I really enjoyed it. And there were lots of really funny moments that I tabbed and just beautiful, beautiful quotes. I love the way Austen writes. Her use of language is so amazing, so gorgeous, and I'm really glad that I have now finished all of Jane Austen's novels. I have the Watsons and Sanditon left. So hopefully I will get to those before the end of the year, because I kind of want to wrap up Jane Austen this year since it's her 250th birthday in December. So yeah, Mansfield Park I finished. I loved. Very happy. I also finished a middle grade this week, and that is Professor Petit's, no, The Highly Trained Dogs of Professor Petit, I think is how it goes. This is by Carol Ryrie Brink, and this is my fourth novel by her. I really, really enjoy her middle grade books. She writes such heartwarming stories, and I love them. So this one is kind of fun. We follow a young boy who meets Professor Petit, who is training these dogs and has this like traveling show where his dogs perform. He absolutely loves his dogs. He takes very good care of them. He really values them. But there's this other man who's running a circus who does not value his animals. He does not care about them very much. And he's kind of Professor Petit's competition, and he's always arriving in the same towns and makes it hard for Professor Petit to sell his show, because this man with his circus has a tiger and everyone wants to see the tiger. And so this young boy decides to help Professor Petit, try to get people to come to his show and help him out. This is a beautiful, beautiful book about friendship and this young boy, the lengths he goes to try to help Professor Petit and his dogs. I really enjoyed this. This is very fun, very quick, easy little middle grade book. And I'm happy to have another Carol Ryrie Brink crossed off my list because I want to read everything that she's written. And then the last book that I read this week is Hannah's Children. This I talked about 2 videos ago, kind of in the books that I was currently reading at the time. And this is another one I started a long time ago and just very slowly made my way through, because I don't read nonfiction super quickly in general, especially when it's on my Kindle and I'm competing for like Kindle reading and typically want to read a novel on my Kindle, read fiction. So I took my time with this, but I am glad I finished it. I have kind of mixed thoughts and feelings about this book. I enjoyed a lot of aspects about it. I enjoyed getting to hear these different women's perspectives and kind of putting value on women who choose to have large families, because oftentimes they just get kind of cast aside in society and looked down upon for choosing that. And it was really interesting. A lot of these women, you know, had careers. They were lawyers, they were doctors, they were professors, and they chose to have a family and be present with their kids and raise them. And so it's just, I really enjoyed that aspect of kind of, you know, valuing that and looking at these women's stories. There were like some kind of critiques, I guess, I have about the book. First of all, I really thought it could have been edited better. She included like a full transcript of each woman's conversation and didn't really edit the ums or the kind of awkward phrasings out. And I thought that could have just been like tighter and just neater, and would have made the reading experience a little easier, because when you're reading just pages and pages and pages of these women's conversations, it's just not, it doesn't flow very well, and I would get like super distracted and just kind of taken out of it. So that's one thing. The other thing is, and I don't think this was intentional at all, but I think it kind of, in certain parts came across as having a big family is good and having a small family is bad and contributes to all of the evils of the world, which is just not the case, obviously. I just felt like it lacked nuance at certain points, and I mean, it's a hard balance to do because she's obviously like focused on these women who have 5 or more kids and their stories and their experiences. So their perspectives and opinions is going to be overly positive in terms of having large families. Not to say that's not a good thing, but you know, it just sometimes seemed like this option is the very, very best and doing something differently is bad. And yeah, I don't know. I think it just could have a little bit more nuance, I think would have maybe helped make the points that she was making feel even stronger, because I do think there were lots of really interesting points about kind of the outcomes. Talked about like teenagers or like pre-teenagers who grow up in families with babies, with young kids, and how that's like super uncommon now that you would be 10, 11, 12 years old and have like a baby sibling. But she talked to multiple women who talked about how like they could see such a change in that older child when the younger child was born, and the sense of responsibility that that older child took on, and how it just really helped them to have someone to care for, someone else to kind of worry about, and not their own kind of like preteen problems. And I thought that was really interesting, like, and not something that you hear talked about a lot, because there was a time, you know, a long time ago where that was more normal, and it's not the case anymore. But I thought it was really interesting. Like, she talked about the importance of, like, at that age, having someone else to take care of, having to be responsible, and having to love another person. And I thought that was really interesting and could definitely be expanded beyond having like a sibling who's a baby. You can do that in lots of different ways. You don't have a young sibling to take care of, you know, they can help other people and be part of a community and volunteer, or, you know, things like that. So, you know, there's definitely like a balance to that, and I just felt like sometimes her arguments were like, well, if you don't have a baby in your family, then like your kids are going to be depressed, or your kids are going to like, you know, lack all of these social skills and important things that kids in big families have. And that's just too simplistic. That's not true. So I just wish that, you know, there would have been a little bit more balance at certain times in this book, but overall I enjoyed it and I'm glad I read it. I have a couple of things on the go at the moment. The first is a book on my Kindle that I am about 30% of the way through, and that is, hold on, let me get it to pull up, Sarah Morris Remembers by D.E. Stevenson. I am really enjoying this so far. This is exactly what it sounds like. Our main character, Sarah, is retelling her life, her childhood, growing up. She's about 14 years old right now in the story, and we're just hearing her experiences, her childhood. She is a little bit of a tomboy. She likes to play with her brothers kind of outside and is not super into the girly things, but she has a really close relationship still with her mom and her dad. And she has decided recently that she wants to leave school. She's not learning anything really valuable in school. In fact, they have made her like repeat the same history lessons like 3 times, and she doesn't know how to speak French properly and all of these things. Like, school is failing her. And so she wants to be homeschooled, and she wants to like particularly learn languages. And so she goes to her dad and she tells him this, and her dad is like, okay. They take her out of school, they find her a French teacher, and she starts learning French and studying Latin and all of these other things. And I just love that so much, that first of all, Sarah at 14 is like so self-aware to know like, this is not working for me. You know, I have other interests that are not being fulfilled. She goes to her parents, and her parents are understanding enough to say, yeah, you're right, and they trust her well enough to pull her out of school and to find ways to encourage what she actually wants to know. And I just love that so much. Right now she's in France, spending a month staying with a French family so that she can improve her French. And it's just a lot of fun. I'm really learning that I love D.E. Stevenson. I mean, this is my only my second book by her, but I have a firm feeling that she's going to be a favorite author for me. And I right now have a like 3-month Kindle Unlimited subscription thing. So I want to read as much D.E. Stevenson as I can, because not all of her books, but quite a lot are on Kindle Unlimited. So I'm going to try to take advantage of these 3 months to read some D.E. Stevenson. Another book that I started yesterday and I'm about 78 pages through is The Vanderbeekers and the Hidden Garden. This is book 2 in the Vanderbeeker series, and it is so cozy and just everything you want from a middle grade book. I love the Vanderbeeker family. They are 5 siblings. One of them is off at summer camp right now, so we're following 4 of the siblings. Their neighbor, they have this elderly couple for a neighbor, and he suffers a stroke, and they decide to turn this abandoned kind of property near the church into a community garden. And so they're working really hard to surprise him so that when he leaves the hospital, they can show him this garden that they've been talking about for years of wanting to do. And the kids are so cute. They're like working and trying to get this garden up and running, and I'm just really enjoying these siblings. I love their relationships. I love the New York City setting. And I love the Vanderbeekers so much. So this is just pure cozy, happy reading. And then finally, I'm also kind of dipping in and out of the Just So stories by Rudyard Kipling. I've only read 2 or 3 of these stories because I just pick it up, you know, occasionally and read a story. But these are fun. They're very funny. And yeah, I don't have too much to say because I've only read 2 of the stories. But I did really like the one I just read, which was How the Camel Got His Hump. I was actually reading it out loud while my 2-year-old was playing, and she thought it was super funny, all of the humph. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, so I will probably finish this up pretty quickly though, because the stories are short and there aren't very many of them. That's kind of it for the things I plan on, you know, reading and continuing this week. I feel like I should finish most of these, if not all of these, next week. And so I do have some things that I am excited about participating in September that I want to talk about, because I will probably be starting those soon-ish, depending on when I finish some of these, on called Framed in September. I will try to leave links to the hosts and whatnot in the description. But this is basically this is reading works about art or art history, and I'm very excited because this sounds like a lot of fun. And so for this, I decided to pick up a work of historical fiction by Catherine Ray. This came out very recently this summer, yeah, in June, and it is called The English Masterpiece. I read the Berlin Letters by her earlier this year and really enjoyed it. Well, I listened to that on audio. This one I have the ebook for, so I'll be reading it on my Kindle once I finish D.E. Stevenson. But this sounds really interesting. So from what I understand, this is about a Picasso painting that maybe gets stolen. And yeah, I don't want to know too much going in, but I think this will be a lot of fun and I'm really excited about it. I really enjoyed the Berlin Letters, so I have high hopes for this historical fiction. And it is on Kindle Unlimited, so that kind of works out perfectly, wanting to read and take advantage of that for the next couple months. Next, I should talk about my other Framed in September picks right now. So I was inspired by Faith, wanting to read 30 picture books in 30 days for Framed in September. And she had all of these gorgeous picture books that she shared. And I was like, ooh, I want to read some picture books in September. I don't have a super extensive picture book collection right now because my daughter is newly 2, so we're still kind of in that board book phase of life. But I have a growing collection, I should say. And there are a couple that have been just sitting on my shelves, some of these for a really long time, that I've never read. And so September, I'm going to prioritize these. The first one is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy. And this is, I mean, like, it's not really a picture book. There's, you know, there's a lot of text. It seems like The Little Prince kind of to me. But it has all of these illustrations, and the story is written in his handwriting as well, I believe. And yeah, it has very kind of Little Prince-esque vibes to it. This was actually a book my husband got for Christmas many years ago, and I wanted to read it too, and I just haven't read it yet, but the illustrations are really beautiful, and I am looking forward to getting to this in September. Next up, I have this book that I bought when I was on vacation with my family when I was like maybe 10 years old or something. So this book I've had for a long time, and that is Marigold Garden, Greenaway. Is that right? Greenaway? Yeah. This is in rough shape, so it is definitely a book to handle with care. But the illustrations in here, ooh, let me open this up. The illustrations in here are just so beautiful and charming. It is a book of poetry, and it just has all of these very, very darling illustrations. Like, look at that. Oh, I'm so excited. I think this will be just a really fun book to read occasionally. Oh, this is fun. It has a little inscription that this was given to Mary Ann for Christmas in 1931 from Aunt Peg. That's so cute. And just like, look at how cute. Yes, so this book I've just owned forever because I loved the illustration so much. And I want to actually read it, but you know, I was very scared of it because it is kind of falling apart. Finally is this other book that I've had for a number of years, maybe like 5 years now, and that is Slow Down, Bring Calm to a Busy World with 50 Nature Stories. And this is written by Rachel Williams and illustrated by Freya Hartes. And again, the illustrations in here are just so gorgeous. So gorgeous. Like, look at that, how fall autumnally. And so yeah, these are just different stories. This one is a squirrel buries an acorn in autumn and digs it up again in winter. We have a thunderstorm on a summer's day. I got cut off. So I don't know where I was, but I want to participate in Shaketember, which is Shakespeare in September. I don't plan on actually reading any Shakespeare, but I would like to watch an adaptation. And I haven't decided which one yet, but I want to watch something with Judi Dench in it. It is because I want to read or listen to. I'm hoping that the audiobook will come in time, but it's kind of a long wait, so we'll see. But it's Shakespeare, The Man Who Pays the Rent by Judi Dench. This is her stories of acting in Shakespeare plays and just kind of her experience. I'm really excited. I think this will be a lot of fun, and I've heard good things about it. So that is my Shaketember pick. I also might get to It by Maggie O'Farrell. This book is absolutely stunning. Like, look at that. And then the inside, oh, it's gorgeous. But I'm very apprehensive to read this because I find myself not really enjoying modern books as much anymore. There was a time in my reading life where I loved reading new releases and modern books, and I just don't feel like I'm that kind of reader anymore. And I'm worried I'm going to be disappointed by this book, so that's why I am kind of hesitating. But I don't know, like, I want to read it because I don't want to just have books that I have no interest in reading or don't even like. So I want to read this to know, like, should I even keep it on my bookshelves or not? So maybe I might get to this. I don't know. I'm still kind of hesitating because I'm worried that it's going to be a disappointment and I'm going to like invest a lot of time in it and then just DNF it, which, you know, is fine. Like, that happens, but I don't know. So we'll see. Maybe Hamnet. I think that is kind of it for now. That's kind of what I have on the radar, what I'm planning on maybe picking up this next week, what I still have in progress. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this kind of new format and style, and I hope you know, this will be a good way kind of moving forward to keep you updated and share my thoughts about what I'm reading and not necessarily have to wait till the end of the month to do that. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye!